Jeran Hamstelar has confirmed Antony has been sold. It is a done deal, according to these new reports from the Netherlands. Antony will become a Manchester United player after going on strike to force this move. The fee is believed to now be £84 million for this very exciting, very talented, top-class winger from Ajax. So far, we've seen a number of players bought in who have worked with before, and just as recent as last season with Erik ten Hag, as he continues his attempt at rebuilding Manchester United and trying to return them to former glories. £84 million. Give me your comments below. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace and clicking on the bell notification button as well. But Antony, according to brand new reports from the Netherlands, is a done deal. Let's go! Antony went on strike in the latter part of this week to force through a move to Manchester United. He refused to play in the most recent Eredivisie clash, and Ajax are holding out for 84.8 million after refusing Manchester United's most recent bid. This news was also echoed by the Manchester Evening News, stating that Ajax are demanding £84 million. As already told, Antony has been sold here. This comes from Jeran Hamstelar and the European lad who are stating that a done deal is in place and the player has been sold. Of course, this is pending a medical and the completion of the transfer. But this has been a long-standing target of Manchester United's all summer, a player that Erik ten Hag has been desperate to bring into the ranks. We have already seen how important the Malacias, the Ericssons, and of course, double back-to-back winning man of the match performance, Lisandro Martinez, have been to the rebuild at Manchester United. This is very much stage one. This is very much at the early grassroots levels of this rebuild. A few green shoots have been seen, but there's a long way to go. This has been a player in the attacking sense that Erik ten Hag has been desperate to land all summer. We've already seen one alternative signing come in Casemiro instead of Frankie de Jong. But this is good news from an Erik ten Hag point of view and people that advocate his approach, because this is one of his primary targets. Now, the money is huge. £84 million is well above the market value for this player. And look, many people are unhappy with the way in which Antony has been treated, not to mention, Antony's camp. They are very disappointed in how this has gone about, how high the price has become, what it is that Ajax have been demanding. They believe that Ajax have already turned down a large number of very, very acceptable bids for a player that, by the way, with most of the consultancies, is valued at between 30 and 40 million pounds. To be paying somewhere in the region of 50 million pounds above the market valuation is huge. Absolutely huge indeed. That's going to come with its own pressures. I'm glad to see a resolution has been made. Personally, I do think Ajax have been taking the proverbial. I do think Ajax have exploited the player. I do think Ajax have potentially damaged some relationships here with Man United, a club that they had a very close connection with for a long, long time. And I understand he's their player. I understand he has a contract until 2025. But the player has been talking professionally behind the scenes and feels that there's been a number of gentlemen's agreements since February that we would let you go for a 40 million, a 50 million, a 60 million, a 70 million pounds stroke euro bid. And every time that bid has been made, the club has therefore rejected it. This has caused a lot of stress and frustration for Antony. That is why he's ended up going on strike, because he believes they've gone back on verbal agreements between parties. Man United, though, has stumped up the cash to bring one of the primary targets in. And according to these reports coming out of the Netherlands, the deal will now be done. The £85 million price tag comes with a huge amount of pressure, not just on Antony, but also upon Erik ten Hag. Antony is going to have to deal with the pressure of being expected to deliver on a regular and consistent basis. Now, that would have been expected for a £30 million player, but the scrutiny, the criticism, and the analyzing from pundits and rivals is going to skyrocket due to the 84 to 85 million pound price tag. Personally, but I expect it a top level of performance. I expect him to develop into a player who we're getting what I call a 3 out of 4 performance from. 3 times out of 4, I want this guy looking very good indeed, scoring goals, creating, being a pivotal part in plays and in goals. Not just the assister or the goal scorer, but heavily involved in the build-up play. He needs to be a player, especially at this money, who is driving us forward in pivotal games, in big top six clashes, in important European games, and in those gateway moments when there's opportunities to jump into the top 4, make it to a semi-final, win a game. This is where you need to see someone like him step up, especially at this money. And a lot of people will say, well, the player isn't in control of how much money he costs. This is where the pressure then goes upon Erik ten Hag and more so the Glazers and Manchester United. On the surface, it will be seen as the Glazers are backing the manager, and that's true to a certain degree. But Man United have to be sure that the player can deliver. One, his ability and quality as a player is good enough for the Premier League. Secondly, that he can repay that price tag. And thirdly, the club need to be sure that the overall approach here has been right. And the reason I say that is this: because of the scrutiny and the pressure that comes with this price tag, that is going to weigh heavy on the shoulders. So does the player have the ability to persevere through that? Already mentioned the player actually being good enough, and that is key as well. Although Erik ten Hag so far has been pretty good with his choice of players, you've seen an instant impact that they've had within the team. 4 games in, especially with some of the older deadwood having been dropped and the new players really getting a chance to lead things. The hope is that Antony comes in, is an extra player who takes the squad with him, buys into Erik ten Hag's ideas and rebuild, and helps to elevate Man United forward. But this is where the board have got to be mindful. This is where the board have got to be sure that the due diligence has been done, not just by Erik ten Hag, but by the whole club in its entirety, because it's a huge level of investment. Players like Gakpo are available at almost a third of the price. So you have to be sure for that level of money, you're getting that level of output from him. Theoretically, Man United could have gone and got Ruben Neves, Yuri Tillemans, and Gakpo for the same amount of money. And this is where, although you want to give a manager a large amount of control, this is where you look at the running of your football club and is it correct? So all these things are going to be under scrutiny when it comes to this signing. Erik ten Hag's eye for talent. He's thought and feeling that this player, even at that price, is good enough to drive Man United forward, to give 3 consistent performances out of 4, as an example, to be a driving force in this Man United team. Secondly, is there value for money in this deal? Is enough bang for the buck being made? Because that is, whether people like it or not, a very important element. And that lands on the club because the club sanction the moves. If the club is run well and you have the right structure supporting your manager, you shouldn't be making these mistakes. Now, I'm not trying to put this onto a negative. I'm just speaking in reality. When it comes to the player himself, very positive, very happy. There's a great rawness here. There's a brilliant expectation to how good Antony could become, irrespective of the price. So of course I'm excited to see him in a Manchester United shirt. I hope and pray this news from the Netherlands is true and this deal goes through. I'd love him to be in the squad for the Leicester game. I'd love him to get a bit of game time before the big match next weekend against Arsenal. A week today. Man United and Arsenal play. So I'd love him to get a little bit of game time and almost a week's worth of training in if he could be through the door Monday/Tuesday, ready for these big clashes that Manchester United are going to be facing. But it's a huge, huge deal, a record-breaking deal, and a transfer that is going to get the tongues wagging in one way, shape, or form. But as I've already mentioned, I'm hoping that Erik ten Hag has got this right, and it's the right attacker to come in and take us forward. I'm hoping the club, even more so, have done their due diligence and are sure that this amount of investment on this individual player is going to give us a return. And the return is consistent performances, goals and assists, big moments in big games, and being a consistent performer in this rebuild under Erik ten Hag. And if those things go right, the 84, 85 million pound price tag will pale into insignificance. Nobody will care about it. Nobody will talk about it. It will never be spoken about ever again. But he has to deliver. He has to deliver at that price. The question for you, the viewers, is, are you confident that he will? My gut is telling me yes. My gut is telling me yes. I think he will. I think he will, over the next 4 to 5 years, repay this price tag. If, though, only if the club fully get behind Eric Ten Hag, they don't cut the spending, they don't cut the power, they don't cut the support, they don't allow player power to overtake this dressing room, or they keep pushing to eradicate it. If that is done, this signing, along with multiple others, will be successful at Manchester United. Why do I believe this? It's what I've been spouting for 9 years across socials, and even before that, before this thing called content creating in the football space existed. Structure and how well run a club is the most imperative thing. Let top football people make football decisions on a consistent basis to a philosophy and a culture that is harmonious and consistent from top to bottom, from the inside out of a football club. And with the money Man United have and the investment levels that we can put in, that we generate as a business, there is no doubt about it that this could work, and the whole project in its entirety. But lots of pressure on Antony. I want your thoughts and your feelings on this reported done deal, as you can see today. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. See you soon.